Shabbat Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitashenu b'mitzvotav la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us in his commandments and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah. This week's Torah portion is really awesome. This is a Torah portion that I've not become very familiar with. There's a lot to be known in this Torah portion, like every Torah portion. There's a lot to learn. With this Torah portion, though, I haven't spent too much study on. But there's two things that I'd like to comment on that I find to be very important, and a few others as well that are some main points, maybe third, or fourth, even a fifth, that I like to talk about. But 2 points that are very important. It says he lived. Jacob lived. Jacob was in the land of Egypt, and toward the end of his life, he had spent the last 17 years of his life in what some people would probably consider like an individual, even like an individual utopia, or even like a conditional utopia. He went to Egypt and he was pretty much doted on by Joseph, who was like Pharaoh in Egypt, and Pharaoh. He had the best of the lands. He had a wonderful bed, a wonderful home. He was in Egypt during famine in the world. I mean, you couldn't get any stronger contrast of what it would look like to be cared for than the way that Jacob was cared for the last 17 years of his life. And by Egyptians, no doubt. People that considered him and his profession as shepherds and as like sojourners, complete filth. They were considered the lowest of the low. To be Jews and to have that profession, to live the life they live, they were literally lower than dogs, or like pretty much like dogs to Egyptians. But yet he was completely doted on. And the point that I want to make is that he says that even though he was, what's important here to understand is through all the things, he always kept his eyes on God. He always kept his eyes on what God had for his life and what direction God had him going in, and he didn't waver to the left or to the right on which way he should go. He went completely the way that God wanted him to go with his life. And so he made his son promise him. And you hear in this Torah portion, he makes him promise him that he won't leave him, that he'll bury him in the promised land, that he'll bury him with his fathers, with Abraham and Isaac, with Abraham and Yitzhak. So Yaakov wanted to be buried with his fathers in the promised land, just as they had been buried. Yeshua makes a powerful statement when he said, God is not the God of the dead, but a God of the living, because he said, I am the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, when he spoke to Moses at the burning bush. Well, we know physically they were dead. But you see, even though Abraham was close to dying physically, he was spiritually very, very alive. And he, alive in his spirit, wanted to still continue in the plan, in the way, and where his eyes were fixed on the Lord. And that was back in the promised land. It wasn't in Egypt. And so he says, the important lesson to be learned, one of the points to be learned, is that Jacob did not even want to be caught dead in a place that God did not have for his life. That wasn't the plan for his life. And that was among people that weren't called or living according to God's purposes. It wasn't an option for Jacob. He wouldn't be caught dead there. He wanted to be where God wanted him. The second thing that I find absolutely incredible about this Torah portion is that he calls all his sons together. And it's a perfect picture of unity. But when he blesses them individually. And then when we speak of them in the portion, they're referred to as Israel. And don't quote me on that. Study it for yourself. But here's all these different people. And they're all brothers, they're family. And he blesses them individually, but there's a unity there. If you read the Torah portion back when Jacob was when he had laid his head down and he had seen the ladder. Don't quote me, I should go back and read it. But I believe it says that he gathered stones for his pillow. But then when he awoke the next day, there was a stone. And he anointed it. What's interesting is now, later in his life, as he's blessing his sons, he speaks of this angel. He speaks of this angel that's been with him the entire time, to be with them, and he gathers them together, just as he had gathered those stones. And he says this blessing over them, just how he had been blessed, and he had received this faith, and they're like one. And the beauty of that is that we know that unity, that God's goodness, his amazingness, his idea of equality, and his ideas of unity and diversity, the way that he he proves it is undeniable love and undeniable diversity and undeniable unity and undeniable equality. Much throughout all of these Torah portions, we see how Jacob is blessing and not blessing, and he's showing, there's a lot amount of love going towards Joseph and Benjamin and the sons of Rachel. And then here, this last blessing before he dies, we see them together and he blesses them individually. And you see how much he loves his sons. You see that there's truly equality there. There's truly unity there. And that's how God operates. We all came from Adam. We all came from one man. So how can we not all be equal? How could we ever argue different? You're a son of Adam. I'm a son of Adam. You're a daughter of Adam. There's other daughters of Adam. You can't argue equality. We're all sons of Adam. And then if you're born again and you're a son of the second Adam, you're a son of Yeshua HaMashiach, you can't be argued any other different way either. God sees you as he sees Jesus. But that's how God shows true unity, is through the diversity of coming together and the love there. And it's just incredible to see. That's incredible, and though the blessings are different, they all tie together for the unity, for the oneness. So those are some things I wanted to give a little bit of commentary about. And I didn't really want to delve, any further than that. But it's a thing when we talk about blessing. There's a blessing that we do over the children. It's called, and I posted just above the beginning of this Torah portion. It says, imagine a world where the fathers openly affirm their children by speaking blessings into their life every week. That world is called the Sabbath. Jacob laid his hands on Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and bestowed a blessing upon them. He declared that the children of Israel would henceforth bless their own children, saying, "May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh." In Jewish families on Friday nights, while the families gather around the Sabbath table, the father lays his hands on his children and blesses them. To his sons he says, "May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh." To his daughters, "May God make you like Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, Leah." And he blesses them with these blessings, uh, etc. And so on every single week. What a lovely, beautiful thing, right? What unity, what diversity, what equality, what love. Shabbat Shalom.